Yeah, so welcome to the Indigenous Wellness Training Society 60 Scoop Story of Resilience. The 60 Scoop was a series of government policies that led to a large number of Indigenous children, about 20,000 in Canada, being removed from their families and placed in predominantly non-Indigenous care. And so with us here, we have Tyler, who's going to share his story. Maybe you want to introduce yourself, name, what nation you're from, and where you're at.
Yes, good morning. My name is Tyler Craig. I have a traditional name, Pie Suawasis, which means Thunder Child in the Cree language. I am of the Sucker Creek First Nation in northern Alberta. That's Treaty 8 territory. I have been making my home in the traditional unceded territory of the Semiahmoo people, otherwise known as White Rock, for the past 8 years.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's great. So can you tell me like maybe early memories before you were scooped, or if you remember what you were told, or what happened, or where you were born and stuff like that?
Yeah, the nature of my adoption was essentially that my natural mother, her name is Darlene, she had, well, I haven't got the full gap thrown in, but I surmise that it was maybe a one night stand, or it was, a very brief relationship with my natural father. His name is Wayne Jobin. And so she became pregnant as a result of this relationship. And what was happening for her was that she was in the process of a divorce. She was of divorcing another person. And she had two children that were part of this divorce, my natural brother and sister. And then there was myself. So what I understand was that she had tried to end the pregnancy. Thankfully for myself, that attempted abortion did not work. And so when I was born, my natural mother had reached out to the social services and had come to learn that one of the local RCMP officers, that's my adoptive father, Jim, and his spouse, Linda, were looking for a child to adopt, specifically a boy. And so they had reached out. And so one process led to another. And it was decided that I would be adopted at the time of my birth. I was born on November 7th, 1980. And that was in High Prairie, Alberta. So on the third day after I was adopted, I went back to my adoptive parents' home, and that's the family that would raise me until I was of adulthood. Now, one thing I do want to say about my early years, until I was of the age of 4, I had lived in the local area to my natural mother, and so my understanding is that my natural mother did see me from time to time. I was too young to remember, but what I do remember is, my can you pause this for a second? Sorry, sorry, the doorbell rang. So I hope you can edit that part out.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay. Sorry, one second. Sorry, Jackson. Okay, so I hope that little part got edited out. I was not expecting the letter carrier to bring me a piece of mail. So where was I? Oh, so my natural mother was, a bit of a part of my life. Essentially, before I moved away, there was, some dialogue. Uh, One of the things that was found, and I'm not sure if this is going to be related to the story, but what I do know is that I had some developmental issues. And what that meant was I wasn't able to walk or talk until the age of 2.5, 3-ish. It was suspected that there was perhaps fetal alcohol syndrome. There was perhaps, some substance abuse during my mother's pregnancy towards me. And so that affected my development. It is, something that I still am addressing, which I'll probably get into a little bit after the little later in the story. But essentially, my adoptive parents, they never did hide the fact that I was adopted. I think it was obvious by her skin color change, different skin colors, that I was not a natural child of theirs. So they did let me know that I was indigenous. And so that basically was early childhood. My adoptive family, there was another my adopted brother. He came from Saskatchewan, and he is also indigenous. And I had two sisters that were non-indigenous, that were natural to my adoptive family.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah, I was adopted as well, and yeah, I think probably possible FAS affects myself or some from what I was told. So, what were your initial feelings and reactions around the process, like of being scooped and stuff?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Like your initial feelings and reactions around, either or being scooped or the whole thing, or even learning about it.
Well, I've had to, spend some reflection time on this very subject, quite considerable reflection time, actually. And really, I think my best understanding of what happened was, ultimately it was the residential schools, the residential school history in my mother's side of the family, in which, the culture, the language, the spirituality was taken away. And, my ancestors were forced to, you know, be with the church. And it certainly was traumatic for them. And so I can see how that translated down the generations, where that feeling of intergenerational grief made its way down. At that time of her life, my natural mother was embroiled in substance abuse issues. So I'm torn between, yes, I did get separated from my natural family. On the other hand, they had significant trauma. And I can only speculate what things could have been like if I hadn't been adopted. So I guess I have to understand that the creator, for some reason, made this a part of my journey.
Uh, yeah, it's the first time that I've heard somebody connect the 60 scoop as a result of the residential schools.
Well, from what I understand is, there's so much grief and so much abuse that happened in residential school that the children who went to residential schools did not know how to be parents themselves. And, that's where child welfare agencies got involved, because, the social workers were seeing a number of parents that couldn't raise their own children. And this certainly was the case with my natural mother.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. So, what impacts have this had on your personal and cultural identity, or struggles with identity, or even culture or community connections?
Well, what it meant for me was that I had to deliberately go out and learn about my culture. If I can fast forward to, my mid 20s, I got caught in substance abuse myself. I was, in quite serious addiction. And, I had gone to see a number of doctors and hospitals and stuff. And no one was able to quite figure out why I couldn't resolve my addiction issues until I was connected to an Indigenous social worker who was explaining to me that the path out of my own substance abuse was for me to learn about my own cultural identity. And so at first I was scared. I had no idea what path to take or even what it would mean for me. It was terrifying. But one thing led to another. I was introduced to a sweat lodge ceremony when I was about 27 years old. And, you know, I had a good experience out of that, and it inspired me to learn more about the ceremonies and the way of life. What ended up happening was that I went to a substance abuse treatment center that was culturally grounded. It was in northern Manitoba, and it inspired me to continue to learn about the ceremonies that I got exposed to in that program. And so I connected with elders in that area. I connected with knowledge keepers. I decided to go back to school. And so from that, I was able to, gain both a personal and an academic understanding of our culture and our way of life.
Yeah, that's similar to me too. Like, yeah, being like, well, I was 3 weeks old, and then kind of like grew up and not knowing my culture actually until in the adulthood, and then all of a sudden, yeah, being introduced to sweat lodge and all the different ceremonies and Sundance and everything. Yeah. So when you were growing up, there was no introduction of culture, I guess.
I wasn't introduced to my culture in any meaningful way. Yes, I did get, some Christmas gifts of like books about Indigenous culture. I did get, invited to some youth conferences, which I did go to when I was in high school. So I would say maybe about 10% of what I could have learned about my culture was what I actually learned growing up.
Oh yeah, yeah, and my being raised to like was fairly mild compared to some other individual stories that I've been hearing through this process. You know,
Well,
so
one thing, sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah. That's okay.
Well, what I was going to say is that one thing that did come out of my journey, a couple of things is that I did have trauma. I did have sexual and emotional abuse in my adoptive home, and then of course when that came to light, then my adoptive family turned their back on me, which sort of was the incentive that I went to go learn about my own natural family. I'm glad that I did have the chance to meet my natural mother, my mother's relatives. I unfortunately could not have learned about my natural father because he passed away in 1985 after an accident. Also, I did learn about my natural father, though, from his relatives and his side of the family.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's important. So how old were you when they turned their backs on
I was about 19.
you? Yeah, yeah, that's so that's where kind of like where you started your healing journey or something.
Well, the healing journey did not happen right then because I did end up in substance abuse. So there
Okay.
was, a few years that I call my missing years where I was in substance abuse. I mean, it caused some serious damage to my life. But I think this has allowed me to better understand why people get entrenched in substance abuse, especially those who are of the 60 scoop. And ultimately, the entire experience that I have with substance abuse and recovery has allowed me to become a much more stronger advocate for our people.
Yeah, yeah. I out of all the interviews I don't think there's one person, including myself, who hasn't been impacted by substance use.
Yes.
Yeah. That's that's cool. Yeah. So what specific challenges have you faced, like during and after the um, being the scoop, like emotional, social, psychological?
Well, besides the fact that I had, unresolved trauma that led into substance abuse, which is an entire discussion in itself, I would say that, learning how to reconcile my cultural identity, learning how to understand the differences between the indigenous worldview and the dominant worldview, and trying to understand my place within them has been a huge challenge because I understand both, and yet I feel like I belong to neither. So that has, caused me to do a lot of reading, a lot of study, which is probably why I decided to go for Aboriginal studies as a degree, so that I could learn the history and why things are the way for our people as they are now. I have, certainly become grounded in the culture, and I do practice the culture. And while I don't feel like, I have completely decolonized myself, I certainly have come to a greater appreciation of our way of life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, sometimes during my studies, I learned about things, the history, and it's like, wow, they actually did that. And I have to push the material away, stand up, and
Yes.
go for a walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, during your upbringing, was there at least one supportive person who helped you along upon reflection, kind of like looking back and saying, because like, yeah,
Depends on what the support was. I mean, I did have friends. I did have, people, mentors, and teachers in my school and such that, tried to guide me along with my confusion. But in terms of like an elder or knowledge keeper, that wasn't present until much later in my life.
oh, yeah, yeah, it's really important, I think. So, so what steps have you taken towards your healing and recovery? Sounds like you're in school or you got yourself educated, did a little bit of looking into culture and stuff like that. Yeah. But
Well, I completed my degree a number of years ago, and I have been working in a professional capacity where I am working for the advocacy of our people, and I have been in a helping role with those who experience substance abuse challenges. I have come to learn from my initial learnings from the elders and my initial exposure to the Sundance that the learning never ends. Even after 15 years of being involved with the Sundances, I am still learning a lot. I'm still learning about the ceremonies, and I don't think that learning's ever going to end. I feel like I've come to a point where, yes, I can feel comfortable about sharing my story. I can feel comfortable about addressing the traumas. It is not triggering for me to address trauma. What I feel that I'm going to continue to learn probably for the rest of my life is really what our traditional way of life is about. And what I am told is that, knowledge is to be shared and to be given away. And so I see that, throughout as I continue on the years, I may be able to be a mentor or, cultural, teacher to other people that are coming in the generations to come.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think yeah, even myself, like I haven't participated in anything too cultural, but I think the concept of being able to pour a sweat lodge after a Sundance is intriguing to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's a big commitment though, but yeah, I don't know if it's possible or something.
One day, I'll get to that point. I mean, I have done one sweat lodge where I poured, but I still have a lot of traditional learning to do.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That's it's good to know. Like so what is your like where are you at currently with family, work, and community involvement. I guess you mentioned that you're working in the healthcare field and stuff like that, and getting like I'm getting reconnected with my family too, and trying to find out about my biological mom. Yeah, she was in her 80s, I guess, when she passed away. But yeah, so where are you at currently, like family, work, community?
Well, I have a relationship with my natural brother and sister. Unfortunately, my natural mother passed away about a year and a half ago. I did have a chance to get to know her, and she did pass on family knowledge to me, so I honor that. And I do have some knowledge of my other relatives, aunts and uncles, and such, which I do try to make a trip to Sucker Creek once in a while to go visit them. But I've realized that my life is very separate from theirs, and that I have my path and that they have their paths. So, in terms of like, suddenly, pulling up my stakes and going back to my home community, I don't see that happening. I am working, of course, with the advocacy of our people. I am active with the cultural community, going to the sweats, going to the Sundance. I do sing with the drum group. I am trying to learn a little bit of the Cree language. It has been a little bit challenging, but I do have the books and I try to work away at it as best as I can.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. Yeah, I think you learn a lot. Yeah, I've seen the work that you've done. It's like really spot on and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Do you have any hopes and aspirations for the future?
Well, I think that continue my learning, continue to work for the advancement of our people. I think, stay the course, as what I'm told is stay close to the red road. I think, I do that, and it's probably going to bring me the best quality of life.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like is there something that you wanted to let the people know about, being a 60 scoop survivor basically?
Well, I think that to whoever is watching this video and whoever is, if they are somebody that doesn't know about the 60 scoop, I encourage that person to read about it. I would certainly say that the 60 scoop is something that is unique to the times and why child welfare has changed, because now it is no longer the policy for apprehended children to get adopted to non-Indigenous homes. But that said, there is an entire cohort of Indigenous people that are in a state of having to learn about their culture. But at the same time, I would say to an Indigenous person that, learn about our perspectives, learn about, our stories, because they very much, form the fabric of the stories that we as Indigenous people share. And for those that are 60 Scoop survivors themselves, I do say that, form a cultural identity. And I feel that if a person can do that, then it is going to bring them the greatest amounts of rewards.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so yeah, it's been a good interview. I learned quite a bit there in a brief period of time, and like the connection between the 60 scoop and the residential schools, I think was fairly big. And but and then with the direction to, yeah, to learn our culture, like you've been learning and teaching. And I know it's a little bit challenging, working
Yes.
with Indigenous people. That yeah, I'm facing the same challenges too. But just have to put one foot in front of the other and keep going. And yeah, thank you for your courage and openness.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure, Jackson.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so yeah, I'll send you a link to this interview once I finish it. And yeah, it's great to see you're still, trucking along there and sharing your teachings and knowledge with Indigenous people, making a difference.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, and if there's anything else I can do for your society, Jackson, I mean, you know how to get in touch with me. And,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to help whatever way I can if that opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do have a project I'm currently working on now. Yeah, but
Okay, what's your project?
yeah. So I'll let you know after. Yeah. So yeah, I'd just like to thank the viewers for watching and encourage, yeah, like you said, further education and support for reconciliation. So if there's nothing else, I'll end the stream here now.
Okay, yeah, I would thought it says it's uploading, so I don't know if
Oh,
that's got to be uploaded.
yeah. Okay.